Good morning everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kerry and I make cleaning, homemaking and redecorating videos here on YouTube. So welcome. So today is the day I finally start the preparation to redecorate in the kitchen. Now before I can actually get on with the redecorating itself and make that video for you, I need to go through the kitchen, do a little bit of a declutter, just a quick one. I do come in fairly regularly and declutter the kitchen because the clutter does creep in this particular room of the house, but also I need to do a nice big deep clean in this room before I can start painting and such things. So I figured I would make a video of me doing both for you as a kind of precursor to the actual redecoration of this room. Now most of the bits to redecorate in here have arrived now. I'm just waiting on I think one more thing now to arrive before I can actually get cracking with it. So I decided today was the day to go through and get the decluttering done, because I don't want to be working in a room where I'm constantly moving things around that I don't really want anyway. Like I said earlier, I do come in here and kind of declutter really quite regularly, because stuff really does creep in this space, particularly as you can see in this cupboard that I'm currently doing my cleaning supplies. So I don't actually use that many cleaning supplies, but I do have all of my kind of laundry detergent and my spares in here. So when I buy a bottle or a packet of something that I use for cleaning, I tend to buy two and keep the spares in here and keep the ones I'm currently using in my cleaning caddy that I take around the house with me. So this cupboard is usually quite full. But I do like to go through and eliminate the bits that I have purchased, maybe to try something new, or because something is running out or getting worn out if it's like a cloth or something like that, and I pop them in here. So it gives me a good chance to go through and get rid of all of those kind of old and worn things, the products I don't really like, and to have a little bit of a reorganise in here to make things a little bit easier for me to find. So that is probably the worst cupboard in the kitchen for actually clearing out. So now that that's done, the rest of it's kind of plain sailing. This cutlery drawer I go through again fairly regularly, but you know what it's like when you see like a little tool that specialises in something, and you grab it and you put it in your drawer and you never ever use it again. Yeah, I've got to stop buying those. I don't want to be buying any more kind of one-hit wonders. I like multi-tools, particularly small ones that I can use for multiple different purposes, rather than having one thing to do many different jobs. It just doesn't work out for me. So this is our junk drawer. I'm sure you've all got one. And I do organise this regularly. Now everything in here we tend to use. It's mainly medications, various different painkillers for various different levels of pain, tablets and Tums and things like that for digestive distress, let's call it, and kind of bits for, I've got like dental bits in here for any tooth pain or anything like that, because to me, I would rather do labour again than have to suffer tooth pain. It's the worst pain in the world as far as I'm concerned. So we've always got stuff in here for tooth pain just in case that crops up. Especially at the minute in the UK, it's very, very difficult to get into a dentist. So it's ready. I've got temporary fill-in stuff, I've got pain relief stuff, I've got all sorts going on in here. But it's also a drawer where random bits and bobs end up. So the rolling pin doesn't fit into my cutlery drawer, so that goes in here. My measuring spoons, sandwich bags, little notes that I put out for the kids for how to cook dinner and things like that, they're in here. So it does get kind of messy really quickly, so I just go in and have a little bit of a reorganise in there. This drawer here is my kind of sponges, tea towels, microfibers drawer. not too much to do in there. And this one is where we keep all of our baking trays, ice cube trays, that kind of thing. So I am going to declutter that big roasting tin today because it's looking kind of rough. It's starting to rust. It's no good for cooking. So that kind of thing can go. And this is going to give me some more space and a little bit more opportunity to reorganise in here once the deep clean and the redecorating are done. So this cupboard I came in and decluttered literally last week. I think I was looking for something and a whole bunch of stuff fell out. So I just end up decluttering that last week. So I'm just going through to make sure nothing snuck its way back in. And I don't think anything had at this point. It was just a case of reorganising what I had in here. It gets a bit out of control very quickly. So I was just reorganising that. I think I only decluttered the potato ricer from in here. Bought myself a potato ricer because I hate lumpy mash, and wound up not really using it because for me it's easier to buy like frozen mash and just warm it up. I know it's not as healthy, but all of the potatoes that I've been buying over the last kind of year and a half have just been so damaged and all kind of grey and rough, like pretty much the whole way through, and I got fed up with it, fed up of throwing potatoes away. So I just buy the ready-made mash and I warm it up these days. So the ricer is now void, that's gone. This cupboard here, once I have finished the redecorating, I'm going to get one of those little pull-out double drawer things. I can't remember what they're called, like blind corner drawer things, so that I can have this cupboard just for my small appliances. I don't have many small appliances. I've got a little food processor, I've got our toasted sandwich maker, I've got the deep fat fryer, and I think that's actually it, the little velvetizer. That's it. That's all I've got in here, and I really would like for that to be it. I don't want to have anything else in here, but at the moment it's being used for surplus food storage and things like that. So yeah, that's something that I really want to install into here after I've done the declutter. We'll use up all this food in the meantime, and then this cupboard will be a lot more accessible and a lot easier. So that's going to do it for the declutter. Let's get cracking with the deep clean. Okay, so it's now the next day and it's time to get a deep clean done on this kitchen. Now it's not going to be a super deep pulling out all the cupboards and cleaning inside of those, but it is going to be a deep clean in the sense that I am going to be cleaning behind the big appliances and things like that, obviously where I'm going to be decorating. So I've already got a head start with decorating in the kitchen, and I have painted the back wall where the bins are in an olive green. So I'm not really going to be concentrating too much on deep cleaning the back area of the kitchen, but this front area where I've got all my worktops, the tiles, the cooker hood, the cooker itself, behind the cooker, behind the fridge, all of that does need to be done today, so that when I am decorating and painting walls and things like that, I'm not getting little bits of cobweb, crumbs, hairs, whatever's been lurking around the back of the kitchen and behind things. They are not going to be getting onto the paintbrush and be getting painted into the walls, because that's not really the look that I'm going for with this kitchen revamp. So I'm going around pretty much just with my pink stuff cleaner and getting the cupboard doors and the worktops and the tiles all cleaned. Now, I'm not going to be replacing or changing the worktops. I'm not going to be replacing or changing the cupboard doors, but I am going to be changing the tiles. Now, I live in a rented house from a housing association. They have recently changed the kitchen. I think it's about 2 or 3 years old, something like that now. And when they put the kitchen in, they put these big tiles in, which I do like, but they put this dark grout in, which I do not like. So I need to retile without retiling, basically. I don't have permission to change the tiles because they have only just been put in, and that's how the housing association want them to be. So I need to find a renter-friendly solution to cover these tiles without causing them any damage. And I think We will see when I do the redecorating. I think I have found a solution for this, and it is not a peel and stick tile. I have used the peel and stick tiles before, and I think if you are decorating on a budget and you need to cover tiles cheaply, they are pretty good. However, they don't last a huge amount of time. They do tend to come up and peel around the edges, and when you do take them off, they do tend to leave an awful sticky mess. So if you're looking for a kind of budget, like you are saving for a new kitchen and you want something in the meantime to just keep it going for a year or so, you're probably good with peel and stick tiles. However, I have had to find a different kind of renter-friendly solution, which I will share with you when I'm actually doing the redecorating. But that does mean I'm going to be cleaning the tiles today to make sure that the tiles underneath what I'm doing are clean and fresh and not damaged and just ready to go when I do remove my fix when we move house or when I decide to change the kitchen. So I need to make sure they are nice and clean today. Right, so the next thing on my list today is pulling out and cleaning behind the oven. Now, I've had this oven for roughly a year, maybe a little bit under a year. It's a gas and electric kind of combination oven, and I'm not going to pretend that I have pulled this out before. I have not pulled this out before. I have been too frightened to pull this out because it's connected to the gas, and I am genuinely terrified of creating a gas leak when I pull the oven out. So yeah, it's been sat here for the best part of a year and I haven't pulled it out or cleaned the sides or behind or beneath it. So I was really expecting this to be pretty disgusting down the sides, but actually it's looking pretty good. So I'm quite chuffed with myself that it stayed pretty nice. Apologies for the camera shifting. I don't know why it does that. It hasn't got any kind of tracking, it just does it. I don't know. There wasn't anyone moving it or anything. Maybe it has got tracking, I don't know. But it wasn't sold with tracking. But anyway, the sides of the cooker were absolutely fine. There were a couple of small spills down there, but nothing particularly major. And no, I did not set off a gas leak. As you can see, the gas pipe is nice and long. The electric cable is nice and long. I was just being a bit over dramatic, let's say, about the idea of pulling it out. And underneath and down the sides of the cupboards were pretty mucky. Now, they weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be, but they were still muckier than a cleaning channel probably should have behind a cooker. So I hadn't pulled these out even in my spring or autumn cleans, because I was just too frightened to. But a little bit of elbow grease took care of most of it. I did end up going back over it with my Dishmatic and some hot water just to remove all the very heavy set kind of, not quite baked on, but you know what I mean, like dried out stains and things on there. I needed a little bit of help. The elbow grease wasn't quite enough. I did give it 2 goes over with the elbow grease, which did deal with the majority, but I did have to go over it with the Dishmatic just to make sure that I got it all off. But you'll be pleased to know that my cupboards are now officially nice and clean on the side, unless somebody's spilt something down there in the meantime, which is actually quite likely. But now I know I don't need to be a wimp, I don't need to be frightened, I can pull this oven out, and I probably will pull it out once a month when I do my my kind of monthly cleans. I will pull this out and make sure that I'm cleaning the sides of these cupboards and underneath it as well, just to make sure that we haven't got anything going kind of old and stale down there. I genuinely think the worst thing that was down here was the builder's dust. In all honesty, where they have installed the cooker, they had drilled the holes to put the chain onto the wall and they hadn't cleaned up the dust. Like, honestly, that was the worst of it. There were a few crumbs, I won't pretend there wasn't, but most of it was actually kind of builder's dust and chip paint and stuff like that where they had actually installed the oven in the first place. So yeah, I'm quite chuffed that it wasn't too bad, to be fair, considering it's been sat here for like a year, or thereabouts a year. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was still grimy, but not too bad. A little bit of a sweep and a bit of a clean with my sponge, and that got most of it up. And like I say, I'm going to put it out every single month and just make sure that I am mopping back here and cleaning the sides of the cupboards, and we should be grand. So the last thing that I'm going to be doing today on this deep clean is pulling out the fridge. Again, the fridge is something that I've been too frightened to move because I don't know how long the cable is. We got the oven and the fridge roughly around the same time. I think the fridge may have been a week or so later, but I've been too scared to pull that out. And the fridge, it fought me every step of the way. It did not want to come out. I'm going to have to get one of those lifting things because it tried to take my lino with it, which I wasn't very happy about. But I did get it out, and back here was, I think, worse than down back of the cooker. There were lots of cobwebs down here where my little 8-legged friends had made their homes, quite clearly. Obviously it's nice and warm back there, so I guess they decided it was home sweet home. But a little bit of a sweep with the broom and that was done and dusted, and then just a quick little mop, and that's it for the area behind the fridge, really. Don't know what else I can say. Not much going on back here. I did also give the back of the fridge itself a clean as well, just to get a few cobwebs off. And so the last thing on the list today is just going to be cleaning the floor. Obviously where I have pulled out the cooker and where I've pulled out the fridge, there is a little bit of gunk on the floor. There is some mud on the floor from where I shook out the doormat. It's been really unpredictable weather around here recently. We've got glorious sunshine followed by torrential rain, high winds, it's cold, then it's hot, then it's cold, then it's hot, and so a lot of mud is being tracked into the house where the weather can't make up its mind what it's doing. So there's quite a lot of mud that I need to sweep up as well. And then it will be a quick little go over with the mop, and the next time you will see this kitchen will be in the redecoration video. So I hope you've enjoyed this little quick declutter and deep clean video today, and I'm going to sign off now, leave you with a little bit of music, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.